One of the main things that makes survival games so good is the combination of how brutal but beautiful they are. So in this video, we're going deep into some of the hardest survival games out there. Number 1, The Long Dark. Now, The Long Dark is a survival game set in the frozen wilderness of Canada. You play as a crash-landed bush pilot, and you must navigate harsh environments to survive. Now, this game will not have zombies or monsters. Instead, your biggest enemy will be the cold, hunger, thirst, and the wildlife. You must scavenge for food, find shelter, and manage your resources carefully. And the game is known for being beautiful, yet unforgiving, and has a strong focus on realistic survival mechanics. And surviving is a big challenge. Every decision you make can mean the difference between life and death. Are you gonna risk traveling during a blizzard to find food, or do you stay put and preserve your energy? And even the smaller mistakes, like not starting a fire properly, can lead to fatality. And the game requires a careful planning and resource management. You need to keep an eye on your health, warmth, energy, and hunger levels at all times. And it will be a constant battle between you and the environment. So if you love games that test your strategic thinking and patience, The Long Dark is perfect for you. If you're a fan of realistic survival and you enjoy a bit more slower paced, thoughtful gaming, there's lots to enjoy here. Now, if you prefer more fast-paced, high-octane gameplay, or if you dislike games with a steep learning curve, this might not be for you, as the game's difficulty can be frustrating for some. Also, be aware that there's no traditional storyline, and the main focus is on survival and not any kind of narrative. You basically make your own narrative as you go along. But if you enjoy a bit more free roam, this is definitely the game for you. Number 2, Sons of the Forest, a first-person survival horror game where you plunge into a dangerous island, and you are a survivor of a helicopter crash, and you must navigate through a dense forest, dark caves, and abandoned structures, while fending off terrifying creatures. The game has a big focus on exploration, crafting, and combat, but it's all set against a pretty creepy and atmospheric world, where the game has really stunning graphics and really immersive environment that'll keep you on your toes. Now, survival games like Sons of the Forest are notoriously tough, and this one is no exception whatsoever. You'll be presented with numerous challenges that'll test your survival skills. You need to gather resources, build shelter, weapons, and hunt for food, all while staying alert for threats that are lurking in the shadows. The game has a really smart AI system where the enemies become smart and unpredictable, and won't just run at you like a zombie. This makes every encounter quite tense and potentially deadly. And not only are the natives after you, the island's environment itself is also a challenge, with harsh weather conditions and treacherous terrain. And every day is a struggle for survival. It requires careful planning and quick thinking if you want to survive. And this game is perfect for you if you love a mix of survival and horror. If you enjoy the thrill of being chased down or exploring eerie environments while facing off against honestly terrifying enemies, this game will keep you hooked. However, if you're more easily scared or prefer a more relaxed playstyle, the intense atmosphere and constant danger might be too much. The game is also known for a big difficulty curve and can be quite time consuming in terms of resource gathering. Number 3, State of Decay 2, an open world survival game where you must build a community and survive in a world overrun by zombies. Now, in your group of survivors, you need to gather resources, fortify your base, and fend off hordes of the undead. And the game offers a pretty good blend of action, strategy, and resource management, with a pretty big emphasis on community building and cooperation. What's also pretty neat is that each character in your group has unique skills and personalities. Now, this game will require a lot of thinking. The main challenge you will have will be your resources, like your food, medicine, and ammo. That means that you'll need to scavenge for supplies, making difficult decisions about who to save or who to sacrifice, while constantly dealing with the threat of zombie attacks. The game also features permadeath, in case you want to make it a bit tougher. But the game is ideal for you if you prefer building and protecting a base while dealing with zombie threats. It's also a great game if you want to play with your friends. However, if you prefer more fast-paced action, or if you get frustrated by managing multiple resources and characters, this game might not be for you, as the management part is a big deal. Number 4, Green Hell. Now, this game takes place in the Amazon rainforest, and you must survive alone in a jungle, and the game has a great emphasis on realistic survival mechanics. This will include crafting, building, hunting, and foraging. You must also manage your physical and mental health, and Green Hell is known for its difficulty, and it honestly takes it to a whole nother level. The rainforest is a beautiful yet deadly place, and danger lurks around every turn, and you must gather resources to build shelter, craft tools, and find food and water. But what really sets the game apart is the realistic mechanics that require to monitor your body for injuries, infections, and parasites, adding a whole nother layer of challenges. Also, the psychological aspect of survival is crucial in Green Hell, as your character will suffer from hallucinations and mental breakdowns, and it's honestly one of the most unique survival games that I've ever seen. So this game is definitely for you if you're up for a serious challenge, if you enjoy a detailed crafting system and resource management. But be careful if you prefer a more relaxed playstyle or even fast-paced. The game's steep learning curve and the need for a high management management levels can deter some, but if you thrive on overcoming a really tough scenario, Green Hell is a must play. Number 5, Frostpunk. Now this is a city building survival game where the entire world is engulfed by ice, and you play as the leader and you are tasked with managing the last remaining city on Earth. And the game will present you with a constant challenge. The extreme cold is your biggest enemy, and keeping your people warm and fed is a relentless struggle. This means you need to gather resources like coal, wood, and food, while also balancing the need of your population. The game will force you to make tough choices. This could be implementing laws that might improve the overall efficiency of the people, but decrease their overall happiness. You will also need to decide who gets medical treatment when resources are scarce. And there's a ton of these moral dilemmas that will stack up as you go throughout the game. So if you enjoy a strategic city building game with a strong emphasis on survival, this game is perfect for you. The game has a quite grim atmosphere and a constant pressure to make life or death decisions, and can be quite overwhelming if you're not prepared for it. Number 6, This War of Mine. Now in this game, you play as citizens that are trying to survive in a city besieged. You must manage your shelter, scavenge for supplies, and make tough moral decisions to keep not only you but your group alive. And the game is known for its high difficulty. This war-torn environment presents a ton of challenges. The resources are scarce, and there's a constant threat of violence. And you'll need to balance your group's physical needs. This could be the food, medicine, and rest, but also the emotional well-being. Now you spend your night scavenging in dangerous areas, where you must decide whether to risk encounters with other desperate survivors. And in the daytime, you then set out to build your shelter, craft the essentials, and make big decisions. And the game is perfect if you appreciate a deep story-driven survival game where they focus on realism and moral dilemmas. But the game can be quite deep, so if you prefer more light-hearted or action-packed gameplay, the dark themes and slow-paced nature of This War of Mine might not be for you. But if you seek a challenge and a game that will make you question yourself, This War of Mine is perfect for you. Number 7, DayZ. Now DayZ is a world overrun by zombies, and you start with almost nothing, and you must then scavenge for food, water, weapons, and other supplies. And the game is known for its quite realistic survival mechanics. This will include hunger, thirst, and health management. But not only that, you must also be aware of the other players around you, as this game is completely multiplayer, and you never know who you might just run into. Now DayZ is known for being quite difficult. The persistent open world means you must continuously search for resources to stay alive. You'll need to balance your food, water, and medical supplies, while the zombies and other players will be a big danger for you. The game has quite realistic survival mechanics in terms of that injuries and illnesses can quickly become life-threatening if you don't treat it properly. And in so, the game overall requires quite careful planning. So if you love exploring a vast open world where both the environment and other players will try and kill you, this game will be perfect for you. Also, the combination of zombies and high difficulty makes it really fun. However, do be aware that if you prefer a more structured or less intense gameplay, the game's steep learning curve and the constant threat of losing everything you have will be quite overwhelming for you. Number 8, Project Zomboid, an isometric open world survival game where the world is infested with zombies, and you must navigate through a vast and detailed environment and scavenge for supplies, building shelters, and fending off zombies. And the game is known for realism and attention to detail. It has high focus on survival mechanics such as hunger, thirst, fatigue, and injuries, and the game is known for its complexity. Every decision you make will have long-term effects. You must balance your immediate needs and think long-term. This could be building a base and start farming. Now the zombies are relentless, and even a small mistake can lead to an infection that will kill you. And managing not only your physical health, but also your mental health is a big part of it, adding again another layer of complexity. So the game is perfect for you if you enjoy a detailed and realistic survival game, with a big focus on strategy and planning. And you'll need to be able to manage resources, build and fortify bases, and survive in a harsh, unforgiving world. And if you're a fan of sandbox games, you will really appreciate the freedom to explore and interact with the environment in any way you see fit. However, if you prefer more fast-paced action, or games that have very clear objective and goals, for example, slow-paced, open-ended gameplay might not be for you. Also, while it technically is a game with zombies, it's not what you would call action-packed. Number 9, Conan Exiles, a brutal survival game in the universe of Conan the Barbarian. And you play as an exile, and you are thrust into a harsh and unforgiving landscape, and you must immediately gather resources, build shelter, and defend yourself, both against other humans, but also monsters. And the game will have a big focus on crafting, combat, and survival, but with a bigger focus on the exploration and base building part of it. The game will also offer a really rich lore and immersive environment, and a world filled with danger. From extreme weather to hostile creatures and other players, combat becomes a crucial aspect of the game. You will need to craft a ton of weapons and armor, and develop your fighting skills. Additionally, you must also manage your character's health, stamina, and thirst, all while exploring a treacherous world. The game's building system is quite detailed and allows for extensive customization, but it does also require careful planning and resource management. And survival in Conan Exiles will demand strategic thinking thinking, quick reflexes, and a willingness to adapt on the fly. Number 10, 7 Days to Die, a survival horror game that combines elements of first-person shooter, tower defense, and RPG, and is a truly unique game. Now, it all takes place in a post-apocalyptic world infested with zombies, and your goal is to survive as long as possible, and you do this by scavenging for resources, crafting weapons and tools, and building shelters and fortifying bases. The game features a dynamic day-night cycle, where the 7th night is particularly dangerous, as this is where the hordes of zombies come out. But overall, the game will present you with a variety of survival challenges. During the day, you must explore the world to gather essential resources like food, water, and supplies. You must then build and upgrade your base to withstand increasingly dangerous zombie attacks that occur at night. The game's crafting system is quite deep and complex, and allows you to basically craft everything from basic tools to advanced weapons and traps. And the longer you go, and the more days you survive, the zombies will become more aggressive, and especially during the blood moon, every 7th day, the large horde will attack you, making managing your character's health, stamina, and skill development a requirement for survival. So if you enjoy a mix of survival, crafting, and combat in a sandbox environment, this game is perfect for you. Also, the big focus on building and defending a base will keep you engaged for hundreds of hours, and the game even features multiplayer mode if you want to team up with your friends and survive together. However, if you prefer more structured or story-driven experience, the open-ended nature and high difficulty might not be for you. The game is quite complex in terms of mechanics, and you will need to be strategic in your planning. And above all else, the trial and error approach will determine everything. Number 11, Dying Light, a first-person survival horror that takes place in a city devastated by a mysterious outbreak. The game features quite intense combat, parkour-style movement, and day-night cycles. And during the day, you'll scavenge for supplies, craft weapons, and complete missions. While at night, the game and the city becomes far more dangerous, and the game will emphasize quick thinking, agility, and strategic planning to survive. And Dying Light is known for its fast-paced and challenging gameplay, both in terms of avoiding or fighting off zombies and other humans, but also parkour mechanics. This allows you to traverse the city by climbing buildings, jumping between rooftops, and using the environment to advantage. But the game's true challenge comes at night, where the infected are way more dangerous. So if you enjoy a high-intensity survival game that is a bit more action-packed, but still has some pretty good foundation in terms of crafting unique weapons, surviving against zombies, this game is great for you. Also, the open world experience is quite amazing. But the game is quite intense, so if you prefer a more relaxed playstyle, or a game that is less challenging both mechanically, but also in terms of the scary situations you'll encounter, this might not be for you. But if you're an adrenaline junkie who also enjoys this blend of survival and horror, this game is perfect for you. Number 12, Stranded Deep. You play as a plane crash survivor, stranded in the ocean, and you must scavenge for resources, craft tools, and build shelters to stay alive. The game has a big emphasis on realistic survival mechanics. This includes managing hunger, thirst, and health, but you must also contend with the dangers of the ocean. This could be sharks and the environment, which is both beautiful yet brutal. And Stranded Deep is known for its tough and realistic survival challenges. You'll start with nothing, and you must quickly find food, water, and materials to craft essential items. And you do this by exploring underwater shipwrecks, other islands, and even the open waters. And the crafting and building are essential aspects of the game, and you must create everything from basic shelter to more advanced tools. And managing your character's health is a big part of it. And the game is perfect for you if you enjoy a realistic and immersive survival game that has a big focus on exploration and crafting. If you like the idea of surviving on a deserted island, creating your own tools and shelters, and even navigating the dangers of the ocean, this game is right up your alley. Although if you prefer more structured gameplay or a clear storyline, this open-ended nature and the high difficulty might not be for you. The game's realistic mechanics and the need for constant resource management might be off-putting for you. But if you enjoy a deep and engaging survival experience with a ton of exploration and crafting, this game is really unique and quite rewarding. Number 13, SCUM. Now, SCUM is a very unique game. It is an open-world survival game set on a massive prison island where you must outwit your other prisoners in order to survive. And the game will blend elements of realistic survival mechanics, detailed character customization, and multiplayer interaction. You'll need to manage your character health, nutrition, and skills while scavenging for resources, crafting items, and dealing with other inmates. And this emphasis on realism and survival depth, combined with its competitive nature, creates a really intense and engaging experience. And the game is renowned for its challenging survival mechanics. You'll need to manage various aspects, and not just your health. You'll need to look at your metabolism, vitamins, and injury treatment, while still doing the basics of finding water, food, and shelter. And the game's realism extends further, where every action, from what you eat to how you treat your wounds, will impact your chances of survival. And the game is perfect for you if you enjoy highly detailed and realistic survival games with a competitive twist. But if you prefer more straightforward gameplay or less demanding survival mechanics, the game's complexity and high difficulty might be quite off-putting for you. But if you thrive on a detailed survival challenge and you're up for competing against others, SCUM is a really rich and rewarding experience, and it's a must play. Number 14, Rust. The game drops you in a vast open world environment where the singular goal to survive, and you start off with just a rock and a torch, and you must then gather resources, craft tools and weapons, and fend off other players and wildlife. And the game is open-ended and has a big emphasis on the PvP action, and cooperation and conflict are constant. But Rust is known for its quite intense and unforgiving gameplay. In Rust, the biggest challenge will come from other players, who will either be your ally or your enemy, and you should be on your guard constantly, while still gathering resources like wood, stone and metal, so you can build a base and craft weapons. And the game's crafting system is quite deep and allows you to craft a variety of items. This could be from simple tools to more advanced weaponry and defenses. But surviving Rust requires not only resourcefulness, but also a keen awareness of your surroundings and the intention of other players, as any of them might raid your base and take everything you build. And Rust is a perfect description of a game you'll either love or hate. If you enjoy an intense competitive multiplayer game with a strong emphasis on survival and crafting, this game is right up your alley. However, if you prefer the high stakes PvP interactions, this is not the game for you. Even though there are PvE servers, the game is just designed for PvP to be a part of it, and it's not really that interesting if you remove it. Now, number 15 and the final game on our list is Terraria, a 2D survival sandbox game with a big combination of exploration, crafting, building and combat. Now, you start off in a randomly generated world with basic tools, and you must then gather resources. Use to build structures, craft items and fight off a ton of enemies. And Terraria is known for its pixel art style, really extensive crafting system, and endless possibilities for creativity and exploration. And the game will start off quite slow. You need to gather resources and craft tools, weapons and armor. And building a base is also very crucial to protect yourself from the monsters that attack at night. But as you explore deeper into the world, you will encounter more and more dangerous enemies. And it gets even to the point where the game's progression system involves defeating bosses to unlock new materials and crafting recipes. But this also increases the difficulty, which keeps the gameplay engaging. And in Terraria, you'll need to manage your resources, strategize, plan ahead, and become a master of combat if you want to survive. And Terraria is perfect for you if you enjoy a sandbox game with a strong emphasis on exploration, crafting and building. And Terraria is probably the most extensive and most unique survival game that have ever existed, and you can truly create and customize your own world. However, if you prefer more structured gameplay that has a clear storyline telling you where to go and what to do, the open-ended nature of Terraria might not be for you, as the game is much more about creating your own narrative and exploring a world filled with possibilities. Now, if you found this review helpful and it gave you some insight, consider hitting the like button. It's free and it helps the channel out a ton. And if you want to see more game reviews, I highly recommend checking out the video on the screen now, and I'll see you in that video.